Hi, so in this video I'm going to show you how to create those bubbles and the post-process volume, also the foliage and all the controls that they have. So if you didn't see the last video, I recommend you watching that because that's what it's all about. And yes, you're going to have a really nice single layer water that you can customize. So let's get into it. For those who want those little dots here, I created a texture in Photoshop, which is just little dots. So I'm gonna upload this to Google Drive and you guys can download it pretty much. So the effect we want to achieve is this. And you obviously have an idea right now how to do that because it's basically the same thing how we created the foam. So with a little extra. So what we want to pay attention to is, well, is this little section here. Let me just isolate this. At this point in the video, you obviously know how this works. So we have a cloud texture that is the T-noise in the starting content. You grab 3 of these and over time you pen these on on the y-axis and 1 on the x-axis. So you grab 3 of these, you pan 1 on the x-axis, 1 on the y-axis, you multiply these 2 together, and then you pan another one on a different axis. So on the y-axis again, but on the opposite direction, and then you multiply it again. So what this will do is that these two cancel each other at some point. So we have a noise like this. Oh, and you want it to be big. So you don't really use texture coordinates here. So you multiply it with another one. So that we'll have like this effect, which is like this. It kind of looks like smoke, to be honest. We want to use this as a mask. So now we want to have the texture I made in Photoshop, which is, oops. And the reason it's this small, because I have a texture coordinate here that is 20 by 20. And over time, we pen this texture on, doesn't matter what axis, so it's not really static. You don't want anything to be static here. And you have this texture and another black texture, and you use the noise that we created here as a mask. And now you could just actually multiply this by a constant and plug it to the emissive color. You can just multiply it by 20 and you could have this on top of your surface. But now rotate the sun so it's night, you're gonna still have emission on the surface, which you don't really want because there's no really light bouncing there. So there's no really specular highlights there on the water. You want the system to check if it's night or day, which you can do by having this real cool node here that is the sky atmosphere light direction. So you can just press tab and sky atmosphere light direction here. So you just get this node. So what you want to do is that you want to mask this sky atmosphere on the B, which is the blue, so it's the Z axis. And what this does is that it's going to have a black and white mask. So if it's day, it's white, and if it's night, it's black. So you want to invert it. So now it's black when it's day, and it's white when it's night. Okay, so now we have a system that checks if it's day or night, as you can see. What we want to do is that we have another distance to nearest surface, divided, saturated, divided with a big number and saturated. So now as you can see, it has this area again, and I don't want the little bubbles there, or not bubbles, sorry, these specular things to be there. So I want to multiply this with the base mask. So it's going to be black there. So now we have this thing, and then we have the system that checks if it's day or night. So we can use that system as a mask to lure between this what we created here and the full black parameter. And now we want to control the strength of this, which we can do like this. We multiply the whole thing with a number. A font 2 is real nice. If I have 200 here and I want 90 here, it's not going to show anything. So it's a really simple system, but it works just fine. And you obviously just want to plug it to the emission, not the base color, because the base color has the foam material there, not the foam texture. So the same thing we created, we just go and plug it to the emission color. So you can see we have those little dots here, which is real nice. And basically that's it. And now you can just pretty much create an instance material and apply it. So you will have all these real nice controls here that you set up for yourself. The absorption amount, emission strength, and every other stuff. So what you want to have here is bubbles. And bubbles are really, 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 really easy. So this is basically, as you can see, really, really simple particle system. This is a fountain particle system. So you have templates when you create a Niagara particle system. Thanks God. So you just right-click FX and the Niagara system, and you want to have it from selected emitters. And then, I don't know why it's bugging out. It's just replacing the icons with my materials and stuff. So you just select the fountain, you double-click it, so it adds it, and you just finish it. And that's all you need. So this is the fountain that you have. What you want to do with it, first, is that you decrease this spawn rate, which is here, and for like 10 or something. And also you want to go to gravity force and just literally disable it. You can just disable it. So now we have a system that looks like this. So now we want to decrease the speed of it. We're going to go to the velocity in cone, and the minimum and maximum, we're gonna just decrease this. So I'm going to have like a minimum 100 and a maximum 120 or something like this. Compile. And now we get something that is close to what I have here. But I think I used bigger numbers like 120, 150, something like that. So now what we want to do is that I increased the drag for like 175, I think. 0.75, sorry. And now we want to make these particles a little bigger. So the way I do that is initialize particle, and we scroll down to uniform sprite size here, and we just and we just pretty much double the numbers here, like that. Okay, pretty cool. And now I'm going to increase the velocity a little bit more, like that. And now we are pretty much done. I am going to decrease the spawn rate again to like 7. And that's it. And we just have to create a material for it. So you go to render, and by material you just create a new one here somewhere. New material, you name it, and you just apply it. So this is pretty simple. The first thing you want to do is that you scroll down, you make the blend mode to be translucent, and then you scroll even more down, you change the lighting mode to surface translucency volume, which is this, and then you scroll even more down, and then you enable under usage, you check the Niagara ribbons, sprites, particles, sprites with a simple particle system. And that being said, we have this little note here where the specular is a really big number and the roughness is the lowest number possible. And then we have an emissive color. I created another texture in Photoshop that is basically just this white mask. It's basically Fresnel, but you can't really use Fresnel here, because if you use Fresnel, which is basically the same thing as I showed you here, then you're gonna get a rectangle, because what this really is these are planes, 1x1 planes, so rectangles. So if you use Fresnel, you are going to have rectangles if you use the Fresnel. So we get the Fresnel effect basically, and so everything is transparent, but the outside of it, and it emits light. It's a really, really, really small amount of light, and basically that's it. So bubbles done. So you basically just have your particle system that you created here, and you go to render, and you just type in the material you created, and that's it. You have bubbles. You can just drag and drop them into the scene wherever you want, or to design it. For the post-process volume here, we have, as you can see, a post-process volume. That is, if I go here, you can see it's just a rectangle below the surface. And it's important to be below the surface because you want this effect only where your water is. So you don't want it here or here or here, but you do want it here. What you want to do is that I increased the chromatic aberration a little bit, so it's a little dizzy. I think I used 0.4. Changed the white balance to temperature and lowered it because it's blue. This effect, this little distortion effect, is another material, and this is basically, you just create a material and you set it to be a post-process material. So not a surface, but a post-process. And then I think it's pretty much all you have to do. You have a normal map, which is the water normal in the starter content, and you pen it over time on the y-axis. You obviously want a really, really, really big texture. So the tiling is 0.3 on this one for me. And then you have just one channel, because if you use the whole thing, it's not going to work. I have no idea why. But you use the red, the green, or the blue. It doesn't matter which one. You just use one. And then you multiply it by a number. And then I, again, have no idea why. But every single tutorial I watched, they did this. You have to add a texture coordinate to the whole thing, which is 1, 1. So you just add this, and you plug this to the UV channel of a scene texture post-process 0 node, which you can get by typing. So you type in scene texture like that, and then here on the left-hand side, you see scene color. You are going to find post-process input 0 here. And that's it. You just plug it into the UV and you put the color to the emissive color. So now we have the post-process material for us. And now how you can apply it is that you type in render, and here you want to click on add. You choose asset reference, and you choose the PP, the post-process. So you choose the instance material that you created here. And with that, you can open up the instance material and increase the intensity or decrease the intensity like that. The other things is just basically my little objects here, FBX models. So if you don't need these, then it's fine. If you want to have these, it's again in the description. They are not going to come with textures. They're going to come with 1 or 2 masks. So the way these work is that you have materials for them, and every single one of these FBX files you're going to download has vertex colors. So make sure that when you import them, let me get a full image here. So whenever you import these, you scroll down this little arrow below the generate missing collisions or something. You don't actually need collisions, by the way, for them. So you just scroll this down, and vertex color input, you want to have it as a replace. and then you just import it. So it imports all the vertex colors. So you just set up a grass wind, simple grass wind, you plug really, really, really low numbers to the intensity, weight, speed. This VPO, I don't actually know what this is. I have it on 0, actually. So I use 0.4, 0.2, and 0.2 on pretty much every single material I use. And I use the vertex color as a mask with a 0. Oh, and yeah, and you're going to have this gradient that I created in Photoshop again. Again, you can create this, but it's in the description. You can just use these gradient as a mask in some cases because it's fully UV unwrapped. So now you can just do like this, for example, with this mask, or you can use another different mask for it. So this has, again, vertex colors. You make the wind. You apply a really low roughness, a really high specular, and 2 colors. Yeah, so it's not UV unwrapped. It's just, again, vertex colors. So if I open the material here, you can see that it has the 3 different vertex colors. So you can blend 3 different colors with it, as you can see. So this is all in the description, as you can see. I'll just show you how to set up the materials again. It's pretty simple, as you can see. All right. So it's pretty much, basically, that's it. That's all I have for you today. It was a longer video than I expected. Okay, so this is it. So if you liked this video, please leave a like. If you have some thoughts you want to share with me, you can share them with me in the comment section. And if you could use this, or you liked what I made here, you can maybe reward me with a subscribe. Just maybe. Just maybe. So, thank you very much, and see you in the next one. Bye.